Okay. All right, so if we can get started, we'll do the opening prayers on page 3.
What time
Would
is it?
anybody like to be the Umze and lead these? I'm more than happy to let somebody do that if they would like to. Any volunteers?
I can do it. I can try to do it.
Okay. So we're on page 3 of the text. Everybody got the Data Yoga text? Adrian, whenever you're ready.
Are you talking about the opening prayer book or the?
Yeah. Well, the opening prayer. So you got the prayer book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So page 3, the altruistic motivation.
All monetization means, especially those enemies who hate me, instructors who harm me, those who create obstacles on my path to liberation. And omniscience may experience happiness and be separated from suffering, so I establish them in the state of best, perfect, precious, but
Can't hear you very well.
Can you hear me okay now? No? Well, I'm not sure what else to do.
All right, yeah, if you can speak up, like when you're speaking now, that's fine. If you can speak up and maybe a little bit slower so everybody can follow you.
Okay.
You're the Umze, so the idea is for everybody to be able to follow you.
Yep. All my decision beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstruct us, who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, that I experience happiness and be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in a state of asapast, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All my decision beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstruct us, who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may experience happiness and be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in a state of asapast, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Now in Tibetan. Dangla Dangwa Jepe Dang Pa Jepe Darpa Dang Tang Shekin Bardu Cho Par Jepa Tam Sheki Tu Jepe Manam Ka Danim Pe Sim Chen Dang Che Devo Dang Dognya Dakya Nirudula Name Payam Dam Pardo Pechak Shubrim Posheto Parjam. Action with the cheetah prayer. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. In Tibetan. Deche du sang ma ye ge bardu lom na ye som ge wala kwon. Ma she bardu lom na ye som ge wala kwon. Du de ring ne song ye ni ma sang da tam ye. Bardu lom na ye som ge wala kwon. Along with a refuge prayer. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of Deitys. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessor of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of Deitys. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the nobles, Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Tibetan. Drichen Zawa Dangye Baje Be Pelne Lama Dampa Namla Gamzo Chi Om Edam Kyokor Gila Sam La Zong Namla Gamzo Chi Om Sangye Junden Demla Gamzo Chi Om Nambe Jonamla Gamzo Chi Om Akpe Ganjon Namla Gamzo Chi Om Gandro Jogyong Sung Nem Song Ye Shake Yi Jing Dang Den Pa Nam La Gamzu Chi Bodhisattva vow. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise the assembly of the Buddhas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to Bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to Bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Jung Jub Nyingor Jung Jub Nigor Chi Bar Sangye Nam La Gyabzu Chi Jung Jang Jang Jub Zenbai So La Yang De Jing Gyabzu Chi Cheta Jong Gib De Sheki Jung Jub Tong Nye Pa Dong Jung Jub Zenbai La Pa La De Zagrin Shin Ne Pa Ta De Zindro La Pe Don Do Jakshubseni Gegizin Tezin Donid La Palam Rimpa Zindu La Parki. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until alignment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until alignment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye Jo Dang Zong Ye Jong Nam La Chang Chu Bar Do Dang Ye Gam Zo Jing Dan Ye Jing Zo Ye Pe So Nam Ke Dro La Ben Je Zang Ye Dro Par Shu. The four immeasurables. May all mothers sentient beings balance in the sky of happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings boundless in the sky have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam gadam yam besemshin tam de wadam. You dong den bar you shi dung na dang dung na gi you dang dra war you shi dung na me pe de wa dang ni dra war you shi ering chang na ni dang dra we dang nam pa ne bar you shi.
The seven limb prayer, please. Can you slow down just a little bit so we can follow you?
Okay. I bow down respectfully with my body, speech, and faithful mind to all Tathagatas in the 10 directions. Those who have already reached the Tathagata state, those who are reaching it at present, and those Tathagatas still to come. Through the power of Samantabhadra's prayer, may all the Buddhas manifest vividly in my mind. I prostrate to them, multiplying my body as many times as there are atoms of the earth. In each atom, I visualize as many Buddhas as there are atoms, surrounded by countless Bodhisattvas. Thus, all space is filled with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. I praise all Buddhas to magnificent chanting. expressing the great ocean of their excellent qualities. The offerings. To all Buddhas, I make offerings of various pure flowers, flower garlands of music, anointing oils, magnificent light, and fragrant incense. I make offerings to them of fine garments, perfume, and potpourri, piled as high as Mount Meru and arranged in a most beautiful way. I visualize the highest and most extensive offerings and I offer them with great faith to all Buddhas. I prostrate to the Buddhas and make offerings to them, following the deeds of the great Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. Confession. I confess to all Buddhas whatever negative actions I have committed due to the power of anger, desire, and ignorance. Rejoice. I rejoice in the merit of all the Buddhas in the 10 directions, of the great Bodhisattvas and Pratyeka Buddhas, those who have attained arhatship, those who have entered the path of arhatship, and all other beings. I request all the great protectors and Buddhas to turn the highest will of Dharma as the light dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 10 directions and lead them gradually to the enlightened state. I supplicate those Buddhas intending to pass into paranirvana to live long for as many eons as there are atoms of the earth in order to benefit all beings. Whatever merit I have gathered for prostrations, offering, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate.
Mandala offering. So the next 2 pages, 10A and 10B, please.
Sorry, what page was that?
10A and 10B, the short mandala offering. Do you have that page?
10A, 10B?
No.
I don't.
Maybe you have an older version of the book.
Yeah, I don't see 10A, 10B.
Okay. Well, then let me lead it. The short mandala offering. The ground is sprinkled on scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, and the sun and the moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. To the lamas who possess the 3 kayas, I offer the outer, inner, and secret offerings with my body, wealth, and all that is visible. Please grant me the supreme realization and enlightenment. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offering, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Om Guru Deva Dakini, Om Guru Ratna Mandala Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaye Ahom. Tibet. Sashi Bochu Jogme Totram. Rablin Shi Nide Kampadi Sange Shen La Mikte Powayi Jokun Nam Dag Shindu Ke Washo Kusam Yon Sog La Me So Nam La Chi Nang Shang Sum De Shen Yi Cho Daglu long cho nagsi yong she la me chogi no jub saldu so jagsa wadang cho ching sa padang jesu yi rang kol sing so wa yi ge wa jong ze da gi ji sak pa Tam she zo pe shang shu chi no. Om Guru Ratna Mandala Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaye Ahom. Supplication to Lord Jigdan Sumgön. Unequaled refuge, ornament of the world. Your fame pervades the 3,000 worlds. You are the victor Vajradhara without a doubt. I bow at the feet of the Father, Jigdan Sumgön. Continually I think of no one but you. Compassionate one, grant your blessings. dispel the darkness that surrounds my heart. Please bless me so that I can realize the unelaborated nature of mine. Jab Jangi Do Me Zam Lingyan Drag Pe Tong Som Yong La Kab So Me Gawa Dorje Chang Pa Jik Ten Gong Pe Shala Du Tu Tak Tu Sam Yu Kyo Le Me Jinji Lob Shik To Je Chan Yingi Mon Pa Sel Ne Kang Sam Jodra Du To Par Jinji Lo. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles and their combination according to the disposition and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings. Sam Chen Nam Ki Sampadam Lo Yi Je Dak Chi Ta Wa Je Chung Tan Mong Sek Pa Yi Jo Ki Kor Lo Kor Du So. Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments about the opening prayers? Okay, and if does everybody have that in their book? And if Adrian, if you don't have it in your book, I will send you. I will send that to you.
So the one that I have is the second edition.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would have thought it would have been in there, but I will send it to you. If I send it to you, do you have the ability to print, or should I send a printed copy to you?
I can print.
Okay. Well, I can just send you those missing pages then.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Oh, okay. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about Vajrasattva. Vajrasattva, the indestructible holy being. Vajra is indestructible, Sat is a being, and Va is a holy being. So it's the indestructible holy being. And Vajrasattva is a Buddha and is within ourselves. And it's through Vajradhara, through Vajrasattva, that we confess all of our defilements, all of our misdeeds, all the things that we do. And that Vajrasattva then, through the practice, has the ability to be able to help us to not do those things over and over again. So it's like the confession Buddha, but it's also like the purification Buddha. So this practice is very, very important. And this is why we say his mantra many times during the practices, and when we go away from the shrine room and we come back, many times you'll hear the Lama will, start doing the mantra, the 100-syllable mantra, as a means of purifying ourselves. Because when we go out of the room, we might start talking about something, we might start gossiping, we might start thinking different thoughts. We lose our one-pointed mindfulness of what it was that we were doing before the break when we're in the shrine room. Then we come back and now we need to purify whatever those defilements that we allow to contaminate what our practice has been. So it's a purification to be able to do that. So this is why we do this mantra over and over again so many times. So it says here on page 85, if you can read this small print, is the introduction to the Vajrasattva meditation practice. So this is very important. And from time to time, you might want to read this to refresh your memory of what this is. So let's read it together in English, and then we can go through and talk about the meaning of it line by line. So the introduction to the Vajrasattva meditation practice. Generally speaking, virtuous and non-virtuous acts depend on mind. Mind is the master, and the body and the speech are servants. I'll say that again. Mind is the master, and the body and speech are the servants. Driven by the power of afflictive emotions, controlled by desire, hatred, and so forth, we create non-virtues, such as the 5 heinous karmas, the 5 close karmas, the 10 non-virtues, and breaking vows and samayas. It is non-virtuous if we do these things ourselves, if we ask others to do them for us, or if we rejoice when these deeds are done by others. Not only that, when the mind is under the control of desire, hatred, and so forth, we continue to create non-virtue, even if we hear, study, and practice the precious Dharma. These non-virtues will bring suffering and undesirable conditions. These non-virtues can be created when we conquer our enemies, protect our relatives and friends, defend our own body, and accumulate wealth. We leave these things behind when we face death, but the non-virtues will follow us like a shadow, life after life, and become a source of all sufferings. Therefore, it is very wise to purify all the non-virtues we create before their results arise. If we use the 4 powers, this purification can be very effective. The 4 powers are remorse, antidote, resolve, and reliance. In the Vajrayana, Vajrasattva meditation is a special practice for the purification of non-virtue. So with confidence and without hesitation, enter into the Vajrasattva practice. Have sincere remorse for all evil deeds, confess them, and resolve not to create any more negative karma, even at the risk of your life. Then take refuge, cultivate the mind of enlightenment, recite the mantra, and meditate on emptiness as the antidote and reliance. So, going back to the beginning, generally speaking, virtuous and non-virtuous acts depend on mind. So the mind is the cause of the things that we do. And our speech, which is an agent of the intellect, of the intellectual mind. So if the mind, the big mind, is relegated to the intelligent mind, the speech is the agent for that. So we say things that are non-virtuous. We do things that are unvirtuous, non-virtuous. So the speech is symbolic for the actions of the intellectual mind. And the body, if we do negative things with the body. So if we fight, if we destroy things, if we make trouble for people, we steal things, we have sexual misconduct, these things of the body are non-virtuous, and these are from the brain, from the intellect. So the mind is the master, so we need to be able to free the mind from these non-virtuous thoughts and these non-virtuous actions. So driven by the power of the afflictive emotions, controlled by desire, hatred, and so forth, so that would be desire, hatred, ignorance, jealousy, and greed, pridefulness, we create non-virtues such as the 5 heinous crimes, so the 5 heinous karmas, which are killing the father, killing the mother, killing a arhat, defacing the Buddha temple, doing sexual misdeeds, drinking, things like that. So killing the father, killing mother, killing an arhat, harming a Buddha, and causing a schism in the Sangha. That's a heinous crime to do things that are splitting the Sangha up is not a very good thing at all. The 5 close karmas are destroying the temple or stupa, destroy Buddhas, the speech of or books, criticizing bodhisattvas, swearing on Buddha, Dharma lying, distorting and changing the truth to support wrong views. So these are the 5 close karmas, and the 10 non-virtues, and breaking vows and samayas. So we talked about the 10 non-virtues. So there's 3 of the mind, 3 of the body, 4 of the speech, and 3 of the mind. So the 3 of the body are killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. The 4 of the speech are lying, divisive speech, gossip, and what did I leave out? It was lying, harmful speech, divisive speech, and harmful speech.
Gossip?
Gossip, thank you, gossip. And then the 3 of the 3 of the mind are lusting, coveting, are harmful thoughts, and wrong views, wrong world views. So we've talked about them before. You can do some research, you can look them up. You probably got it in your notes somewhere about that. But to be aware of all of these things is very important. So if you're not taking notes, it would be a good idea to do that. And breaking vows and samayas. So the vows and samayas, and the samayas are the same thing. Samayas is the Sanskrit word for taking vows, and that's like promises. So if it is non-virtuous, if we do these things ourselves, if we ask others to do them for us, or if we rejoice when these things are done by others. So we need to be mindful of these non-virtues, and if we see others doing them and we're taking pleasure in that, well, that's a non-virtue. When the mind is under the control of desire, hatred, and so forth, the 5 emotions, we continue to create non-virtue, even if we hear, study, and practice precious dharma. So we may be in the midst of our practices, but doing that, thoughts are coming up. And depending on how we deal with those thoughts, if we're able to cut them off right away, well, there's no harm. But if those thoughts begin to leak in and contaminate our practice, then it pulls down our practice, and that the fact that we're doing Dharma practice does not negate those non-virtues. So they can be very harmful. So when we hear, study, and practice the precious Dharma, we need to remain mindfulness. We need to remain pure in our mindfulness. So these non-virtues will bring suffering and undesirable conditions. These non-virtues can be created when we conquer our enemies, protect our relatives and friends, defend our own body, and accumulate wealth. We leave these things behind when we face death, but the non-virtues follow us like a shadow, life after life, and becomes a source for all things. So the point here is that if we place ourselves above other beings, and we say that we will do hurtful things, and we will create suffering for other beings because we deem them to be non-virtuous, then that we become non-virtuous ourselves. So whether we can rationalize that we're doing that to protect our family, to protect others, to punish other beings or something like that, the non-virtue stays with us. We did a non-virtue, and we have to take responsibility for that. There are some degrees of the karma that we create. And when we talked about karma, and we'll talk about it in Buddhism 101 in a couple of weeks, we'll talk about the different degrees of what karma is, and how when we're trying to do something with the best intentions, but we cause some suffering, how that gets to be judged by ourselves. So but we have to take responsibility for whatever we do. So if we take on creating suffering for someone, someone's coming at us and is going to harm us, and we subdue them by harming them in a very bad way. If we kill them instead of just simply subduing them, we have that karma of killing them. We may have rationalized it that I was saving my life or saving the life of someone else, but still we took a life, and we have to take responsibility for that. So whether it's stealing or any of the other emotions, any of the non-virtues, we have to recognize that. So therefore, it's very wise to purify all these non-virtues we create before the results arise. If we use the 4 powers, this purification can be very effective. So the 4 powers are remorse, antidote, resolve, and reliance. So if the thoughts come up and we do something and we're ready to say something negative, or we do something negative, that we recognize that and we have remorse for that. We say, oh, I shouldn't do that, or I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry I did that. I caused suffering with these other beings, people that I did it to, people that may have witnessed it, and to myself. So I have remorse for it. I recognize that I did something bad. So the next one is antidote, sometimes called the remedy. That there is a wisdom. There is an activity that we can take to be able to overcome, to negate that deed that we did. So whether it's generosity, or it's protecting the lives of others, or it's helping others, the different things that we talked about when we talk about the 10 non-virtues and the 10 virtues, the antidotes are those 10 virtues that we can do. So we need to be recognized, those antidotes, or the remedy. So there's remorse and remedy. Then the next one is resolve. So the resolve is not to do this again, to say to yourself, oh, I'm sorry I did this. I'm applying this antidote, this remedy, to be able to overcome the suffering that I created, and I'm resolving not to do this again. So we do this as best we can. Sometimes we slip up and we wind up doing these things again. We forget. But we have to go through this process over and over again. This is not something that we do one time and can expect perfection. It's something that happens over and over again. Slowly, 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 we begin to be able to purify ourselves. And the way we do that then is the reliance on the practice, the reliance on the deity. So this is the 4th power, is the reliance on the practice. If we align ourselves with the deity yoga, if we align ourselves with the virtue over and over again, then that helps us to when the opportunities come, when the causes come for the negative things to occur, we either cut them off or we don't even recognize them, that we have risen above, we've transcended the possibility of being able to do those negative things. So you may have noticed in your career as being a practitioner that, in the beginning you might have done things over and over again, but now as a matter of your practice, you realize that those things may come up, but you don't react to those things in the same way. You don't get mad, you don't steal, you don't hurt other people, you don't say certain things. So you may have seen that there is benefit, that that there's a successful benefit that you have reached already. So these 4 powers we should remember: resolve, remedy, remorse, resolve, remedy, and reliance. And the Vajrayana, Vajrasattva meditation, is a special practice for the purification of non-virtue. So with confidence and without hesitation, enter into Vajrasattva practice. Have sincere remorse for evil deeds. Confess them and resolve not to create any more negative karma, even at the risk of your life. Then take refuge, cultivate the mind of enlightenment, recite the mantra, and meditate on emptiness as the antidote and reliance. So speaking for myself, many times Vajrasattva has been the mantra and the practice that I've entered into when I get angry. And I have sometimes a temper issue. Sometimes, things, I'm very patient, but then there's this one thing that just lays on top of that all of a sudden, everything just kind of caves in. And it's something that I can feel coming. I can feel that tension, and sometimes it just snaps. And then all of a sudden, I do something that I'm really sorry for. I may say something to somebody. I may yell. I may, scream. I may slam a door. All these different things. And fortunately, there's no weapons around in my house. But you can do things, just with your hands and your body that can cause great pain. And one thing like that, one negative thing like that, one moment of outrage overcomes, pulls the rug from all the virtue that you've been accumulating over this past amount of time. It does it to you. For 2 days, you feel terrible about it. And others who see this, they feel terrible about it. And those that you lash out to, they feel terrible about it. And it takes days sometimes for it to go away. So many times I have come into my shrine room, I sit down and I get my beads and I start doing the 100-syllable mantra. And it takes me about 30 minutes to do a whole mile round of the 100-syllable mantra. I may spend 2 or 3 mile rounds to continue doing that, which takes me 2 or an hour and a half. But by the time I finish that second round or that third round, I will have forgotten what it was that I was so outraged about. And I get my temper comes back, my patience comes back, everything comes back. And I can look at this situation that happened with a objectiveness, and I can see what it was that was causing my upset. And my upset was my grasping, was my ego, clinging on to myself, that I was more important than something that happened that I got mad about, and so on. So it happens. It can happen to everybody. It can happen to practitioners. It can happen to yogis, and so on. But the difference is that we can not obsess with it, that we can use the practice to be able to overcome that. And slowly, as we develop our practice better, that those opportunities that we would get so angry would be diminished. What used to get us angry now doesn't get us angry anymore. So this is my story. And you may have a similar story or another type of story. But to recognize that is very, very important. To recognize our human nature. This is our human nature that is overcoming what we're trying to develop is the recognition of our Buddha nature. And so it really feels bad to us to say, oh my God, I've broken my samaya, I've broken my vows, I've broken my promise, I've done all these things. But you can repair that. And that's what this practice is partly all about, is repairing those things that we have done. That when we've done non-virtuous deeds, while we are trying to develop our Dharma practice, our Dharma life. So does anybody have any questions or comments about this? Because these are very important points right here. Okay. All right, so we begin by doing the practice, and we see Vajrasattva here on page 84. Vajrasattva has a white body. Here it looks like a pink body. I can see that. But actually it should be a pure white body, connoting the purity. And he's got the headdress of a Dhyani Buddha, of a meditation Buddha, of a wisdom Buddha, and he's got the 5 jewels of the 5 wisdom deities, and he's wearing the robes, and he's sitting on a lotus pedestal, which shows that he is a realized being who has come up from the defilement of the ocean of samsara, and now he's sitting on a moon disk, a white moon disk, which connotes the compassion of the wisdom of our Buddha nature. And he's sitting in a full lotus position. We may not be able to assume the full lotus position. We can sit cross-legged, which is fine. But the most important thing that we can look at is that in his hands, right hand, he's holding the Vajra, the Dorje, and it's at his heart like this, representing the indestructible manifest wisdom, the indestructible manifest wisdom at the heart. This is the hung at the heart like this. So this is the skillful means. This is the method. This is the compassion being actualized. The wisdom is the bell, and the bell is at his hip. And you see that the bell is upward, so that the wisdom is there feeding Vajrasattva, is coming out to Vajrasattva. This wisdom in his left hand is coming and is being actualized through the right hand, through the Dorje. So this is the male attribute. The masculine attribute is the skillful means, and the female is the wisdom, is the bell. So he has both of these in his control, that these are his tools, these are his implements of practice, of his enlightened activity, to be able to pacify, to be able to enrich, to be able to magnetize, to be able to challenge, to subdue any negativity that comes his way through these implements by this practice. So this is all very important. So if anybody has any questions about that, don't hesitate to speak up. Okay, so now the visualization. So it says, above the crown of my head, I visualize a white lotus with a moon disk seat. On the moon disk is a white syllable hung, which transforms into a vajra with a hung in its center. White light radiates from this hung, purifying the obscurations of all beings. So the hung, you can see on page 88 at the bottom, is a white hung, and there are the English letters. You can see hung. So in the Sanskrit Tibetan, you can see how it's written with stacked letters, and in the English. So whichever way you can focus on that is fine. The point is creating a mind, a single point mindfulness on this seed syllable, the hung, which means manifest wisdom at the heart, manifest wisdom. So, so it says again, on the moon disk is a white syllable hung, which transforms into a vajra with a hung in its center. So the vajra is the dorje, and in the center part, there's a hung there. And the white light radiates from this hung, purifying the obscuration of all beings. So as we do the practice, that we are circling the mantra, going around in a clockwise direction. We'll get to that, and is going around and with white light like this, as we represent this. So the Vajra, I'll just point out that on both sides is a 5-pointed, or 5 points as the Vajra. So, and what that represents is that one side is the masculine, is the male family holder of the 5 Buddha families, and the other side is the female. So they always go together. Wisdom and compassion always go together. The male and the female always go together. So all this always is simultaneous. It may not be immediately expressed, but it's always implied. So it's always there. So now this light is offered to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So the light that's coming from this heart center of Vajrasattva, the light is going to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that are all within ourselves. So this white light is going to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and then the light returns and dissolves into the kind root Lama. Vajrasattva is white in color and holds a Vajra and bell. He sits gracefully in the half lotus position. So in this practice, we're visualizing that our kind root Lama is Vajrasattva. So whether it's Garchen Rinpoche, or it's His Holiness Chetseng Rinpoche, or it's the Dalai Lama, or it's Khenpo Samdup, or however you regard as your root Lama, as your root teacher, that the light is going from these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas into your root Lama, who is the embodiment of Vajrasattva. So it's all coming into them. And he's holding a Vajra and bell. He sits gracefully in the half lotus position. He wears silken robes and all the precious ornaments. And we make the offerings to him. So now the offerings, if you remember, so we're saying here, Om Vajrasattva Sapariwara Argam Pratitsa Soha. So Om is the body, speech, and mind of the enlightened one. And in this case, it's all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Vajra means indestructible. Vajra is Vajra, but the Tibetans, they don't say V, they say B, Vajra. So this gets picked up in the translation in this way. But it says Om Vajrasattva. So Sattva is the holy being, the indestructible holy being. So we're saying Om Vajrasattva. Sapariwara means and your retinue, and your entourage, all the Buddhas, all the Bodhisattvas, all the female Bodhisattvas, all the Dakinis, all the Dharma guardians that are all part of your retinue, all of them. I'm making this offering of argam, drinking water. And then pratitsa, here is the offering. I make this offering, soha, so be it. So we repeat this each time with the 8 offerings. So we do the argam, we do the padyam, we do the pushpam, we do the dupam, we do the alokam or the aloke, we do the gande, we do the nuiteya, and we do the shapta. So does anybody have any questions about these 8 offerings? Please, if you do, just let me know. There, Adrian has a piece of paper there, and we can make that. Michael, if you would mind, if you can make a note that should be something that we could put on our site. Michael, that we could put on the YouTube that we've been talking about as a support material. The 8 hand mudras for the offerings.
I got you.
So does anybody? So you remember? So we're gathering the blessings. So we alternate our hands. One hand is the bowl with all the blessings. The other hand is gathering the blessings up and bringing them, sweeping them into our heart center where all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are. So we're gathering these and we're offering these as these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are as guests within ourselves. So then the melody for the mantra, you can chant it without a melody. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Argam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Padyam Pratitsa Soha. Or you can do the melody. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Argam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Padyam Pratitsa Soha, and so on. So does anybody have any questions about the offerings? You want me to demonstrate anything?
Lance, what are the offerings that we're making?
Okay, so the offering argam. So the analogy here, let me tell the story. This comes from ancient India. And in ancient India, when you would invite a guest to come to your home, they were coming across fields and fields and fields to get to your home. And most all of India is very hot, all 12 months of the year. So when someone gets to your home, they're coming in and you greet them. And the first thing that you offer them is something to drink. So that's argam. You offer them something to drink. So our hands, our mudra, is like a pitcher of water. We're doing this. If you guys can see my hand doing this, it's like a pitcher of water. So that's argam, drinking water. Then the next thing that you offer them is a bowl of water to wash their feet, to wash their face, to wash their hands, because it's very dusty and grimy and so on. So you want them to feel refreshed and comfortable coming into your home and clean and so on. So we're offering them washing water. So that's padyam. So our hands are in this mudra where our left hand has the three fingers out like this and our right hand, three fingers are on top of it. And we're scooping up the water to wash ourselves. This is called padyam, the washing water. So then the next one, the third one, is now we are offering our guests flowers. So the flowers, whenever we offer flowers, we have a big smile on our face. And the guest who is receiving these flowers, it puts a very big smile on their face. So these flowers are, the beautiful plants that have flowered and how wonderful it is. So we're offering pushpam, which is the hands opening up like this, like the blossom of a flower opening up. This is called pushpe or pushpam, the flowers like this. So that's the third offering. Then the fourth offering is now in India, most of the people there, they will burn the incense at the threshold of the door that goes into their home. And they may also burn it inside the home too. And what the incense does, it purifies the atmosphere from negativity, from demons, from evil thoughts, from bad action and so on. That it's making the atmosphere seem very holy and beautiful. So this incense is protecting the house, the threshold, from demons coming in. And once you're inside, it's making the atmosphere smell very nice and very holy and so on. So we're offering incense, which is dupam. So our fingers are up like this, like a stick of incense. So that's dupam, incense. So that's the fourth offering. So then the next one is now we invite our guests to come inside. And regardless of what time of day it is, coming inside, it's likely to be a little bit dark. So we light candles or we light butter lamps. We make a light to dispel whatever darkness, whatever negativity, whatever ignorance there may be inside the house. We light a candle to be able to brighten that darkness, to be able to illuminate that darkness. So we're offering the light, and this is called aloke. And in this case, our 4 fingers are all together and come to the thumb knuckle, and our thumb becomes the flame of the candle or the butter lamp. So if you can see that, so we say aloke. So that's the light that we are offering now. So that's the 5th offering. Then the next one is, now we offer some scented water, some perfume, to put that on the body, on the face, whatever, on the neck, because the scented water has some perfume in it, and the perfume usually has some kind of alcohol in it, and it evaporates very quickly, and it has a cooling effect. So it has a refreshing effect on everyone. So we're offering this scented water, this perfume, to refresh and to make everybody feel good and to smell good and so on. So this is called Gande. So here we're offering this, and the mudra is our ring finger, our forefinger, our index finger, and our thumbs are touching together like the bottle. And then our 3 fingers are up like this, demonstrating the aroma. It's like the aroma of the evaporating scented water, of the perfume. So that's aloke. So that's the 6th. So then now the 7th offering is, now it's time, we come inside, we have all this, now it's time to eat a meal. So now we're offering a plate of food like this. So our hands are together, and we're offering food to our guests so that they are, feeling welcome. Everybody's having a meal together and so on like that. So we're offering this, and this is called nuitea. The way it's spelled, let me see how it is. So nuitea. So the TE would be like a tea. And so we're offering nuitea, food. So that's the 7th offering. And then the last offering now is, now we've had this meal, and now it's time to rejoice. Now it's time to sing some songs. Now it's time to play some music. Now it's time to maybe dance and to be joyous, happy that we're all together. So we visualize that we are playing instruments. So at the very least, we're playing a drum. So if you take your 2 fingers, your index finger and your middle finger, you bring them together, and then your thumb is holding down your ring finger and your little finger, and you're playing like you're beating a drum like this. And this is called Shabda. This is the music, the Shabda, the rejoicing. And if you have musical instruments like the bell, this is when we would ring the bell. If we have the drum, the damaru, we would do the damaru. If we have the conch shells, we would be playing the conch shells. If we have the jawling, we would be playing the jawling, the flutes, and all the different instruments would be played at this time, at the climax of the 8 offerings. So these are the 8 offerings that we make. So the point was that this comes out of the culture of India, and then it was picked up by the Hindu and picked up by the Buddhists as being, the guests are these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that are within ourselves. So we're gathering these blessings, we're gathering these offerings for these guests that are within ourselves. So we're recognizing them as guests. We want them to stay. And that depends on our degree of being able to complete this practice and so on. But in any case, we're thinking that, they may not stay very long because we're not pure beings yet. So they're like a guest within ourselves. So we're treating them and making these offerings. Does that make sense?
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, thank you. So we'll post the hand mudras, and we can talk about, we can set up a camera sometime and show the hand mudras if you can't see my hands very well, but it's Argam, Padyam, Pushpam, Dupam, Aloke, Gande, Nuitea, and Shatta. So it's good to be able to do this. So in this particular mantra, we're saying Om Vajrasattva. So it's the body, speech, and mind of Vajrasattva, the indestructible holy being, and your entourage and your retinue. I make this offerings of drinking water, etc. Then the pratitsa is we take our hands like this, we bring them together, we cross our wrists, and we're giving the offerings. Here it is. Here's the offering. And so be it. May it be that you receive this offering and are happy that you have this offering. So we'll come back to this and do this practice in a few minutes. So now we come to the next part, which is the praise. So here we say, Vajrasattva, Mahasattva, the great mind, the embodiment of all the Buddhas, the Samantabhadra, Dharmakaya, I prostrate to you, holder of the Vajra. So this is the praise that we're saying. Who is Vajrasattva? We're saying, oh, he is the great holy being. Maha means great. So Vajrasattva is indestructible holy being. Maha is great holy being. The great mind. He is the Buddha mind. This is the transcendent mind. The embodiment of all the Buddhas. So all the Buddhas, you know one Buddha, you know them all. The Samantabhadra, Dharmakaya. So the Samantabhadra is a Sanskrit word for the primordial Buddha. So pure that Samantabhadra is not born. It remains as Dharmakaya, remains as the truth body, remains as the non-conceptual primordial bodhicitta nature of all the Buddhas, the Dharmakaya. This is the Dharmakaya, the truth body of the Buddha. So I prostrate to you, holder of the Vajra, holder of the indestructible wisdom. So this is the praise. So what we would do, if we had our bell, when we say this, we would say, Vajrasattva Mahasattva, the great mind. So we ring the bell, we rejoice at that. The embodiment of all the Buddhas, the Samantabhadra. We rejoice at that. I prostrate to you, holder of the Vajra. So we're rejoicing of the praise. It's all part of the offerings and the praise. Okay. So next we come to the mantra visualization, is on page 87. So if you want to write at the top of the page that this is the mantra visualization. So now we say, at Vajrasattva's heart level is a Vajra on a moon disk. At the center of the Vajra is a hung syllable surrounded by the 100-syllable mantra. The radiating light from the rotating mantra completely purifies the obscurations of all beings, and they become Vajrasattvas. The light returns and dissolves into the mantra of the seed syllable hung. Nectar produced from these syllables flows through the right great toe of Vajrasattva. Okay, so now, to go back to the beginning of this page. So now we're visualizing Vajrasattva is sitting above in front of us. So if you remember, we talked about this before, how Vajrasattva, how the deity starts out above and in front of ourselves like this. And then as we continue the practice, Vajrasattva comes and sits on our head like this. And then for a time remains there, but then as the completion stage comes and Vajrasattva or the deity comes down into our heart center, is like here. So first, when he's up here like this, and in all cases, we're visualizing that the heart center is the seed syllable. In this case, it's the hung, the Vajra. So we're saying at Vajrasattva's heart level is a Vajra on a moon disk. At the center of the Vajra is the Hung syllable, surrounded by the 100-syllable mantra. So the 100-syllable mantra, Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya. We're going to get to that in just a minute. So the radiating light from the rotating mantra completely purifies the obscurations of all beings, and they become Vajrasattvas. So we visualize that this mantra is going around the seed syllable hum at the center of Vajrasattva and is going to all beings and purifying them. The light then returns and dissolves into the mantra of the seed syllable hum, and nectar produced from this syllable flows through the great right toe of Vajrasattva. So what this is here we're visualizing like this. Now Vajrasattva is sitting on the top of our head, and his big toe, his right big toe, is at the Brahma's aperture of our head. At the top of our head is where the center channel comes, and it opens up to the crown of the head. And this is where we have the liberation of our life force. And so the big toe of Vajrasattva is on this aperture. And so from his heart, now this white nectar is flowing down through his body and is coming down through his big toe and comes into the crown of our head, into the center channel, and comes down through the center channel and fills our body with this white milky nectar. So it says, nectar produced from these syllables flows through the right great toe of Vajrasattva. So the 100-syllable mantra is going around. It's this white light going out to all beings. Then the white light comes back, comes into to Vajrasattva's heart, then comes down through his big toe, comes down into us, this white light coming down into us. So this is the purification. So it enters the crown of my head, washing out all defilements, illnesses, and obscurations through the pores of my skin and the two lower openings of my body. These obscurations leave the body in the form of a smoky, dark liquid. Then I am filled with nectar and completely purified, clear as crystal. So we visualize that this white milky nectar is coming down and forcing out all the defilements, all the illnesses, all the confusions being flushed out through the pores of our skin and through our lower sense doors and through our toes and so on. So it says it leaves the body in the form of a smoky, dark liquid. Then I am filled with nectar and completely purified, clear as crystal. So we visualize this. So during this practice, this is the purification, and it's coming from the confession of this practice. You know, that I've done negative things, and I'm purifying this. I'm using the four powers of remorse, remedy, resolve, and reliance on the practice. These four powers are flushing out this negativity, and we're left with this crystal body, with this clear crystal body. So now we go to the next page, and now here is the 100-syllable mantra. So this is in Sanskrit. Most all the mantras are in Sanskrit. So you probably have recited this many times. Maybe you knew what it meant, but here is the English translation. And it's not, precise, but it is close, because Sanskrit words, every Sanskrit word is just packed full of meaning, packed full of vibration, packed full of something that is non-conceptual that we realize as we begin to vibrate with each of these syllables. So this English translation is a means to be able to give us a sense of what that vibration is that is beyond our conception. But we do this practice over and over again, and we begin to, it's like the, the metaphor I've always used is like the opening up of a lock, that the vibration of the recitation of the mantra and the mindfulness of what it is opening up the lock of our heart center, is where our true mind is, where our big mind is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quick question.
Sure.
So when you do the visualization of the nectar flowing through Vajrasattva's toe into your body, do you visualize that nectar filling up your body from the bottom up, or you purify yourself from
No,
top
down? From the top down.
Top down?
Sure. And it's forcing out, it's flushing out all the defilement, all the dark smoky liquid is going out. It's being forced out by this essence of purity.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And also, I don't know if this is important or not. I think I might have encountered somewhere else that when you do this purification practice, sometimes this smoky dark liquid can also be visualized in the form of animals like the snakes, the rooster, or pigs living in your body. Is that right, or is that a different practice that I'm mixing it up?
I've never heard that. I suppose you could, because they are symbolic of the emotions. So it wouldn't be wrong to say that, it doesn't do that, but it's a matter of your visualization. If you want to visualize those objects as defilements within yourself, well, that's valid. That makes sense. But it's not limited to that. It is beyond that.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So now to the English, we say Om. Om is the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones. So in this case, it's Vajrasattva. So we say Om, the body, speech, and mind, the enlightened body, speech, and mind of Vajrasattva, the Samaya, the one who I take my vow with, that I become Vajrasattva, the Samaya. I am the Samaya. You are the Samaya. You are the vow taker. And you are working to become Vajrasattva. So now we say, help to protect my vow, to purify myself. May you remain firm with me. Grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me. Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. So I'm going to challenge you because of my defilements, of my grasping at my human nature, of my thinking that I am better than anybody else, that I am unique, I am selfish. All these things I am going to challenge this purity with. And during all this time that I'm doing these challenging, all this time that I'm confused, protect my vow to purify myself. Be firm with me. Grant me the complete satisfaction to be able to overcome this. Grow with me, because as I grow, you grow with me. Be patient with me. Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature, beyond my physical body, beyond my human nature. We're recognizing that we have this human nature that is full of confusion, that is full of these defilements. Help me to rise above that, to transcend that. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. These are the deeds of the holy body, speech, and mind. Not just my ordinary body, speech, and mind of being a human being, but now the body, speech, and mind of the enlightened ones. We go, Om, Ah, Hom. Show me all the deeds. Show me all the activities of what it is to be a holy enlightened being, of being a bodhisattva or a Buddha. Make my mind heart good, virtuous, and auspicious. My mind heart. This is my brain mind. Here's my my brain mind. Here's my heart mind. This is our true nature here. This is the one that's full of emotions, is full of confusions, is full of mental preconceptions, misconceptions. Make my mind, heart good, virtuous, and auspicious, that I do things for the benefit of others. Revel in the bliss of the four joys. So the four joys, there's many four enumerations, but in the very beginning, we can think of the four immeasurable qualities of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. These are the four joys. Right? Revel in the bliss of that, of bodhicitta. Excuse me, is what that is saying. Revel in the bliss of bodhicitta. O Blessed One, who embodies the essence within me, this Vajrasattva, this essence within me that we haven't recognized, that is all blocked up, all through these defilements, through all our emotions, through all our ignorance and so on. That, O Blessed One, who embodies this essence that is there, do not abandon me. Do not let me go. Grant me the realizations of the indestructible nature of what it means to be this holy enlightened being, this indestructible, holy enlightened being. Grant me these realizations. Let me have these moments of clarity where these glimpses of purity come through. Make me one with you. Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Non-duality. Everything that we're talking about, all this intellectualization is our duality, is our dualistic nature. But let me transcend that. Let me recognize the unity of that pure nature, of the non-dual nature. Ah, the syllable ah. Ah is cutting through. Ah means cutting through ignorance, cutting through confusion, cutting through suffering, the cause of suffering. Ah, cutting through. So you can take like Manjushri. If you remember, Manjushri had his sword above his head, and cutting through that ignorance, cutting through dualism, so that what's revealed is wisdom, is pure wisdom. Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. So this is the meaning of the 100-syllable mantra. And you can take and you can count the syllables. You can break it down and count the syllables and find the 100 syllables there. So I've done that. I like to do things like that. So not that it's great important, but I just like to, I take things apart and put things back together again. And when I take things apart and I have all these pieces laying out in front of me, and then I put them back and I say, oh, you know what? This part here doesn't belong. This part was my defilement. This part was my misconception. That doesn't fit into this. I don't need that anymore. So when I reconstruct this, I'm reconstructing a more streamlined, a more pure, a more succinct, a more holy version of what I thought it was when I began taking it apart. So then we say, Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Justa Dredo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsantriya Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sara Tadagata Bajra Mami Mansa Bajri Bhawa Maha Samaya Sattva Ha. So there's, several melodies that go along with that, and we'll do a couple of them, and then we'll come. Then we'll do the dissolution. We'll start from the beginning. We'll recite from the beginning, and we'll do the practice. We'll recite the mantra, and we don't have time to do a whole mile around, but we'll do some so that we can see the three recitation speeds that we might do, and then we'll come and do a short meditation dissolution and the dedication. Okay, any questions or comments?
Question.
Okay.
In early in the visualization, when the hung syllable manifests in the mantra mandala, and the light goes out to the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, the beings in the six realms, and then it comes back. Does it come back and be processed through the mandala before going back into the hung syllable? In other words, on the way out, it spins off the mandala, right? The mantra mandala. On the way back, does it just come directly from the six realms?
Well, it's all the same mandala. It's all the same. And so it's more accurate to think of it as going around the heart center of Vajrasattva, going around his heart center. And all this, what we have tried to do through our opening prayers is make all this a mandala. So we're filling it up now with white light, is what we're visualizing. That's being filled up with white light. So the white light first goes to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Then from their hearts, the blessings come back into the hung syllable, and it's like energizing it. And then by this time, it's come down now on top of our head, or maybe even inside of ourselves. And now that white light now is going out to all beings, and we see everyone as Vajrasattva. We see all beings as Vajrasattva. And now all that light now is going to all beings, and then it's like, that holon that I talk about. Now the whole mandala is filled with that white light. So you can look at it as a channel of light that's going out in 10 directions, and then the light comes back to you. So you can say, okay, the channel is coming back to you, and or you can say that it's just filling up this whole space with white light. The mandala is being filled up with white light.
Okay.
So both are correct. I think that, in the beginning, I thought of it as that channel of light, but then I've come to recognize it as that whole mandala filling up with light, that everything becomes the Buddha field. Does that help?
It does. I was just sort of under the delusion that the outward flow of light was being mediated by the mantra.
Was being what?
Mediated.
Being mediated?
Channeled by the mantra.
But it's being generated.
Oh, okay, yes. But then on the way back, it takes a direct route.
Yes, it's just filling up, and it just becomes all part of the same light.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I'm sorry I had to go fast tonight, but it's a little bit of a detailed, long practice. Okay, so now we go to page 85, and we'll start with the visualization. So how much time do we have? Okay, so we can do this. Okay, in English first. Above the crown of my head, I visualize a white lotus with a moon disk seat. On the moon disk is a white syllable hung, which transforms into a vajra with a hung at its center. White light radiates from this hung, purifying the obscurations of all beings. This light is offered to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The light returns and dissolves into the seed syllable hung. The hung then transforms into Vajrasattva, who is in essence our own kind root lama. Vajrasattva is white in color and holds a vajra and bell. He sits gracefully in the half lotus position. He wears silken robes and all the precious ornaments. Now the Tibet. She wore pekar da ten hong yi lei. Durje te war hong san wo tro pe. Dro ju drib yang gao cho sur du pa. Sabon la tim yong su gyur pa le. Se wa la ma durje sampa kar. Durje jul che kyang sung ging wa su. Ren san gen chang cha lu yong du su so. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Argam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Padyam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Pushpam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Dupam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Aloke Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Gande Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Nuitaya Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Shapta Pratitsa Soha. Vajrasattva, Mahasattva, the great mind, the embodiment of all the Buddhas, the Samantabhadra, Dharmakaya, I prostrate to you, holder of the Vajra. Dorje Sampa Sampa Che, Dorje Deshin Sepa Kun, Dorje Danko Kundu San, Darksal Chana Dorje Lao. At Vajrasattva's heart level is a Vajra on a moon disk. At the center of the Vajra is a Hung syllable surrounded by the 100-syllable mantra. The light radiating from the rotating mantra completely purifies the obscurations of all beings, and they become Vajrasattvas. The light returns and dissolves into the mantra of the seed syllable Hung. Nectar produced from these syllables flows through the right great toe of Vajrasattva. It enters the crown of my head, washing out all defilements, illnesses, and obscurations through the pores of my skin and the two lower openings of my body. These obscurations leave the body in the form of a smoky, dark liquid. Then I am filled with nectar and completely purified, clear as crystal. Dorsham tu kor datan dorje yi, te war hong tar yi ge kor wale, wo tro jo wei dripa kon jang ne, dorje zing pe sala rab ko chin, wo zer de dag sur du na chen dang. Sabon la tim de le du tsi kyun. Sabgi te bon le ton da ki ki. Sang bug ne sug dig drib ne tong so. Woger du ku tar bab du tsi kyun. Mei ten rang lu shall tar dag par gyu. Om Vajrasattva Samo. Om Vajrasattva. I'm sorry. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya. Vajrasattva Tenopa Justa Dredo Me Bawa. Suto Kayo Me Bawa. Supo Kayo Me Bawa. Anuraktu Me Bawa. Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa. Sara Karma Sitsa Me. Sitsan Triya Kuruhum. Ha 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 ho. Bhagawan. Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Maha Samaya Satwaha Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Jista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sara Tada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Jista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Jista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuruhum Ha ho Bhagawan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Jista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Jista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Justa Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Jista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu me bhava, Sara siddhi me prayatsa, Sara karma sitsa me, Sitsantriya kuru hum. Ha 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 ho, Bhagavan. Sarata gata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Bajra Satwa Samaya Manupalaya Bajra Satwa Tenopa Justa Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sarasiddhi Me Prayatsa Sara karma sitsame, sitsantriya guruham. Ha 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 ho, Bhagavan. Sara tada gata bajra mame mansa bajri bhava mahasamaya satwaha. Now in English. Om Vajrasattva Samaya. Help to protect my vow, to purify myself. May you remain firm with me. Grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me. Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. Make my mind heart good, virtuous, and auspicious. Revel in the bliss of the four joys, O Blessed One, who embodies the essence within me. Do not abandon me. Grant me the realization of the indestructible nature. Make me one with you. Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Justadredo Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sarasiddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsantriya Kuruham Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Saratada gata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Bajra Satwa Samaya Manupalaya Bajra Satwa Tenopa Jista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sarasiddhi Me Prayatsa Sara karma sitsa me, sitsantriya kuruham. Ha 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 ho, Bhagavan. Sara tada gata bajra mame mansa bajri bhava mahasamaya satwaha. Om bajra satwa samaya manupalaya. Bajra satwa tenopa justadredo me bhava. Sutokayo me bhava, supokayo me bhava, anuraktu me bhava, sarasiddhi me prayatsa, sara karma sitsa me, sitsantriya kuruham. Ha 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 ho, Bhagavan, sara tada gata bajra mame mansa bajri bhava mahasamaya satwaha. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dhanova Justadredo Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sarasiddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsantriya Kuruham Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sara Tada Gata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Justadredo Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sarasiddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsantriya Kuruham Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sara Tada Gata Bajra Bhame Mansa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Justadredo Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sarasiddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsantriya Kuruham Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sara Tada Gata Bajra Bhame Mansa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Justa Dredo Mebawa Suto Gayo Mebawa Supo Gayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sora Siddhi Meprayatsa Sora Karma Sitsame Sitsantriya Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sora Tata Gata Bajra Bame Mansa Bajri Bawa Maha Samaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tanopa Justa Dredo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sora Siddhi Mepayatsa Sora Karma Sutsame Sitsantriya Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sora Tata Gata Bajra Bame Mansa Bajri Bawa Maha Samaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Justa Dredo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Meprayatsa Sara Karma Sitsame Sitsantriya Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sora Tata Gata Bajra Bame Mansa Bajri Bawa Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Justa Dredo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Meprayatsa Sora Karma Sutsume Sitsantriya Guruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sora Tata Gata Bajra Bami Mansi Bajri Baba Ma Samaya Satwaha. Now the dissolution, page 89. I and all sentient beings, deluded by our ignorance, have broken the vows. O Lama Vajrasattva, protector, holder of the Vajra, Lord of all sentient beings, please protect us. Vajrasattva is pleased by our prayers and replies, your delusions are now cleared away and you are purified. Vajrasattva then dissolves into light and is absorbed into myself through the top of my head. I then become Vajrasattva. Meditate on the union of appearance and emptiness. Tibet. Dakso monpe damle galgyur pe gompo kyapshik sowo dorjejen drowe sowo dagi kyabzochi deke sope dorsam ge sogi Jorgi dig drib da goze songte da glatim pe drib pa chang war yo. So now visualize the hung syllable at the heart center. Visualize the nectar coming in, Vajrasattva, the light coming in, filling up our body, filling up the hung syllable at our heart, whether it's in English or it's in Tibetan. And then the hung syllable rises up from the bottom, becoming invisible as it goes. So if we're looking at the Sanskrit syllable, the shab Q is at the bottom, then it comes into the ah syllable, and the ah comes into the ha syllable. The ha dissolves into the roof of the ha syllable, the flat roof, and that dissolves into the crescent moon, the compassion, and that dissolves into the bindu, the sun, wisdom, and then that dissolves, if you can see at the very top, is a nada, is a tigle, a little flame. And we visualize the flame until it becomes invisible, until it just disappears into the emptiness, into the shunyata. So we'll do a short meditation, just a few minutes. mind wanders, just bring it back to the visualization. Bring it back to the hung syllable. Bring it back to Vajrasattva, the white nectar. breath. Fill your lungs with fresh, clean, pure air. Raise your arms up over your head. Bring your hands together. Raise your head, look through your hands at the ceiling, stretch your back, stretch your neck, stretch your arms. Relax your arms, breathe, exhale, bring your arms down. Take a deep breath. Fill your lungs with fresh, clean, pure air. Raise your arms up over your head. Look between your two hands above your head at the ceiling. Stretch. Relax. Bring your arms down. Exhale. Breathe in again through both nostrils. Raise your arms up over your head. Look through your hands at the ceiling. Stretch your arms, your neck, and your back. Hold the breath. Exhale and relax your arms. Bring your hands down and breathe. Open your eyes. Okay. Now the dedication, page 89. Through the virtue of this practice, may I achieve Vajrasattva's great realization. To this state, may I come to lead every being, not one left behind. Dewaldiyi nor dudai, dorje sampajugurne, jowa chikyang malupa, deyi sala gopasho. Okay, so that's the Vajrasattva practice. His name in Tibet is Dorje Sampa. That's Vajrasattva. Dorje is Vajra, and Sam means mind, and Pa is the masculine, the human being, the human mind, or the holy mind, I should say. Dorje Sampa is Vajrasattva. So, any questions, comments? Did you like that?
Lance, on page 88, again, I might have an older version of the Deity Yoga book, but my text stops at make me one with you. Is there anything after that?
Yes. Yeah, it says, thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. I tell you what, I'm going to send you a new book. I've got some books here that I brought home just in case people wanted them. So I'm going to send you a new book so you have that. But write it down again. Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah.
Okay.
Is the hung at the bottom on page 88? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason you got a copy that had been updated from there or something.
It's interesting. I'm missing that phrase too.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah, same here, Lance.
Oh, really?
But I have a book with 10A and 10B, and I just procured this a couple months ago.
Well, then write it in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, maybe there was a run where.
Or
So did you want to write that in? Do you have the ability to do that now?
yeah, say that again.
Yeah.
Thus I signify my unity with non-duality.
Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. A-H Exclamation point. Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody got that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Got it now.
Adrian, I'll still send you a new book.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Well, then, thank you all very much for joining on this. And we should do our dedication, lineage dedication on page 157. Maybe recite this together. Dorje Chang, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dormalorgampopa, Pagma Drupa, and Lord Drikung. Please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessing of all the Kagyu Lamas. By this virtue, may I achieve the all-knowing state, omniscience. By defeating all enemies, confusion. May all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion. I'm sorry. May all travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri, the warrior, realized the ultimate state, and as did Samantabhadra, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all the merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddha who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate word of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drikung Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Long life prayers. For this realm encircled by the snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you are one with Avalokiteshvara. May you remain steadfast until samsara's end. Embodiment of the three precious jewels, Padmapani, who holds the teachings of the victorious one. Seeing the all-goodness meaning with the wisdom eye, may you who are spontaneously established activities live long for hundreds of kalpas. Noble Manjushri, the Lord of Speech, who manifests to hold the teachings of the Triple Gem, who raises the lamp of the sage's teachings. May you who are the light of the Dharma live long for hundreds of kalpas. Next page. The one known in the Holy Land as Aryadeva emanated into the Gar clan of Eastern Tibet as Jodingpa, the heart son of Jigdingom Sombungan. May the life of the glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. In this age of strife, when the victor's teaching faces hardship, through his powerful Vajra-like conduct, he takes on himself the heavy responsibility of the unbiased teaching. May Garchen, the son of the teachings, live long. Om Ahom. Om Ahom. Om Ahom. May the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened beings be inseparable from my body, speech, and mind. Thank you all very much.